And we are back. Hey there, everybody. My name is Hilton Cole, and I'm the chairman of the Right Program for the Dulles-Leesburg Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I wanted to welcome and thank all the attendees that are here with us watching this broadcast live, as well as those that are watching this recorded session on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much again for taking the time to be with us today. This is our fourth webinar in the Right Digital Series, where the topic of the day is entrepreneurship. So really quick, before we go any further, what is entrepreneurship? We went online and we checked out the definition from the Oxford Dictionary, and we can define entrepreneurship as the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. We did a Google search before today's broadcast, and we discovered that entrepreneurship is more common than you may think. There's currently 32 million small businesses run by entrepreneurs, making up 99% of all businesses in America. So despite a select group of corporations controlling the majority of the wealth, the jobs, the media coverage, and the experience in America, they dominate the headlines. Small businesses and entrepreneurs make up the majority of businesses that are here in this country. And being the proprietor or being the partner of your own venture can have benefits that you otherwise couldn't find in the corporate world. If you're in the audience and you have a creative vibe about you that maybe it doesn't fit into your 9 to 5 corporate culture, you're passionate about learning and you're self-motivated, you want to be your own boss, maybe entrepreneurship is for you. Running your own business provides all of these things in addition to being able to dictate your own business future. And then, of course, if you're successful, you're able to write your own check. Maybe this sounds like you in the audience, and maybe it doesn't. Just because you're not interested in entrepreneurship today, that's absolutely fine. You may not be interested in entrepreneurship today. That doesn't mean that you should close the door on the concept forever. Many entrepreneurs get their start working their 9 to 5 while building up their side hustle and getting that started so that they can replace their career over time. And that's an okay route as well. Despite some of the perks, however, we wanted to get into this. Despite some of the perks of running your own business, is we would be remiss if we didn't share with you the data that unfortunately about a quarter of businesses survive beyond 15 years. And then 20% of all businesses that are started fail within the first 2 years. So going back to that word risk that we used earlier, it is a risk to start your own business. There's no guarantee that it might succeed. Should that intimidate you? Absolutely not, though. The life of entrepreneurs has its ups and downs. It takes a lot to be successful. It requires a healthy mix of knowledge, of skill, of consistency, of patience, as well as a little bit of luck in order to be successful running your own business. Throughout all the ups and downs, there's several rules of the road that are common across the board, no matter what you want to do, no matter what industry that you want to get in. And our goal today is to try to diffuse as much knowledge and the skill that we have to the audience so that you can feel confident getting started and staying consistent, whether you take the leap now or whether you decide to take that plunge later on in life. So that to that end, I'm joined by 4 amazing panelists that are here today to share a little bit about their business and to share their perspective on what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. I'd like to introduce and thank Mr. Ricardo Watson, Crick and Easy Bonds, Mr. Bernard Mustafa of BFit Technologies, Mr. Robert Seabrooks of Heritage Treasures, as well as Mr. Kevin Knight of Knight Solutions for joining us today to talk. And then before I hand the conversation over to our first speaker, Mr. Watts, wanted to set the ground rules for the structure of today's session. So each speaker is going to have 15 minutes to present their piece. And then while they're speaking, we encourage all of our attendees to make sure that you're using the Q&A to type your questions in the background. In the background, I'm going to be looking at the questions that come in. At the end of the presenter's 15 minutes of fame, what we're going to do is switch over into a 5-minute Q&A where we'll hand pick out the questions that came in through the Q&A and then make sure that the presenter answers all of them live before we move on to the next one. After all 4 of our panelists have gone, what we'll do is we'll switch it over into a open discussion. It's going to be an open 4-way discussion where we'll have some interview style questions for the group that will be moderated by me. And then of course the Q&A will still be open. So if there's any questions that come in live that you'd like all 4 of the presenters to speak on, we'll do that as well. And then after that, we'll close it out. Any remaining questions, we'll make sure that we clear those out. And then we'll try our best to get everyone out of here by 5. For those that are on YouTube, this shouldn't be longer than a 2-hour webinar. Feel free to skip ahead or rewind as you see fit. So with all that out of the way, once again, I wanted to appreciate everyone for coming. I'm really excited for the content that we're going to be going through today. I'm going to hand the conversation over to Mr. Ricardo Watts, who's going to kick us off. Mr. Watts, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you for that help. All right. Okay. My name is Rick Watts. I am president and CEO of Quick and Easy Bail Bonds. Again, I just want to thank Brother Cole and Brother Sprouse for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak briefly. This is a bail bonding company. Before I even engage in conversation about bail bonding, I just want to make sure that the Guide Right participants understand that this is a bail bonding company, and any business that they create and decide to go into can be successful. Hoping that I, along with the other presenters, can allow an opportunity to pass on some skills and what worked for us and some things of that nature. So moving forward, again, this is Quick and Easy Bail Bonds. And I would like to start off by saying that I don't want you to think that you can't be successful in any other type of business. These are just small skills that we look at, okay? Who we are a bail bond company. It's divine. Oh, I'm sorry, I moved that too fast. We're a bail bond company. A definition of bail bonds and the types of bail bonds we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the bail process and the case study. We're going to discuss who we are, who we serve, what is DCJS. We'll discuss why did I choose this career? Why does a career as a bail bondsman look like to me and to this company? Steps to become a bail bondsman. And what's next for entrepreneurship? We are a licensed bonding company, and we've been established since 2015. And we operate in every jail and every county within the Commonwealth of Virginia. And we are veteran owned. To date, we have helped over 2,000 clients get out of trouble, basically those that are incarcerated. We have a network of bond professionals from Virginia all the way up to New York. And we are certified court reporters as well. During times of the pandemic, we decided to go and get certified as court reporters so that we can service attorneys and judges in the courtrooms as well. So what is bail bond? Bail bond is an agreement by a defendant to appear basically to court for a trial. And so the courts put something in place. It's called money, pay a sum of money to set by the courts or a magistrate. If the courts are closed, you have a magistrate in every county acting as and putting out laws that are governed by the Commonwealth of Virginia. The bail bond system is co-signed by the state bail bondsman who charges the defendant. We charge a fee for our services. In return, we guarantee to courts that we're going to make sure that person shows up to court. And if not, then we're going to make full payment, full restitution for that person. This is the process of bail bonding, the types of sureties that we put up to ensure a person comes to court. So it's very important to know that when you are in trouble and you are set a bond, it is your responsibility to show up to court. The types of bonds that we serve in this Commonwealth of Virginia, they're considered an unsecured bond and a secured bond. So in layman's term, an unsecured bond is an opportunity whereas a person have a good history, who have not been in trouble, who has not been in any type of bad reports, being arrested, a lengthy history of criminal history activity. There are sometimes an opportunity for those individuals to receive an unsecured bond. So basically, it really means this: you get to sign yourself out of jail. It's almost like a get out of jail card. It's called an unsecured bond. But the Virginia Code's definition means an unsecured bail bond, law and legal definition means that it's a bond that holds a defendant liable for a breach of the bond's condition. And that condition is also set by the courts. Just want to let you know in advance. So in an unsecured bond, the defendant signs a contract basically with the courts to appear before the court. And if that person fails to show up to court, that person pays the bond amount. If it's a $5,000, $2,000, a $3,000 bond, they owe that back to the courts. That's the definition of an unsecured bond. But majority of our family members and our loved ones are on a secured bond. And that's where you need a person like myself, a licensed bail bondsman. And we're going to discuss how to become a licensed bail bondsman closer in the process here. But a secured bail bond is a type of bail bond that is set by the judge or the magistrate and is backed up by something, what we call money or collateral. That's what we put up. A bondsman uses one of three forms of bonds. We put up property, we use cash, or we use something that's called a surety bond to ensure that the person we getting out of jail basically is going to appear back to court. That's basically the rule, okay? Now, the bail bondsman has to be licensed by one of these three types of bonds. They have to be either a surety bail bondsman, they have to be either a property bail bondsman, or they have to be an agent bail bondsman. There's no other way to bond somebody out of jail in the Commonwealth of Virginia. All three of these requires exams, licenses, expenses through Richmond. So let's go through and talk a little bit, if we could. Oops, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. Let's talk about a little bit about the surety bond. These are individuals who are licensed by the state commission, basically the Bureau of Insurance. The Bureau of Insurance basically has what we call bonds. They are almost considered like this. They are a silent partner in the bail bonding industry. Just like if you were to get your car insurance, your life insurance, your health insurance, the insurance business also covers bonds to relieve people to get out of jail. And for a small percentage with the bail bonding company, they act as a silent partner. So basically, we have to know a little bit about the insurance business. So in order to be a surety bail bondsman, every licensed bail bondsman have to pass and license P&C. That is their property and casualty insurance. The company that is a silent partner wants you to know a little bit about the insurance side of the business, because they're the ones that hold the note to getting the loved one that's in trouble out of jail. So that's a heavy exam. It's ran by the state, and you have to pass that exam by 70 or more. We'll get into that a little further as well. The other type of property bondsman is a property bail bondsman. This is where I started from. You have to have ownership in property. The property has to be free and clear. Individuals who pledge real property, cash, or certificates of deposit issued by a federal insured institution or any combination thereof as a security for a bond that has been posted to assure performance of a term and conditions specified by appropriate judicial officer. So basically what that is saying is that I use property to guarantee to the courts when I post bond that this person is going to come back. And if this person doesn't come back, there are some things that happens to my property, which I'll get into further as well. The third type of bond is an agent bail bonds. This is a person who's also licensed in the Commonwealth of Virginia, who you will use when you can't get to a particular jail. If we have 48 counties in the state of Virginia, or we have 10 counties and you have bonds in every county, you'll need an agent to go post that bond to get that person out. An agent bond is an individual who has been given power of authority by the surety company to write bonds, to give bonds by the surety company underneath the bail bonding company. So basically they are acting as liaisons when I can't do the bond. If I can't get to Virginia Beach jail and post a bond, and I have somebody there working for me that can post that bond to get that person out of jail. So these are the three types of bonds that you have in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So basically, when you try to post bond, there's a criteria of information that you need to follow through. So a typical scenario, I get a call. I'm a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business. We do not close for any holiday. Rain, sleet, or snow, people always get in trouble and they need assistance. So calls come in from sources, jails, repeat offenders, places where you have marketed, social media, and things of that nature. You get those types of calls. Along with that, the main place where you'll get it from is from jails. We are advertised in jails, in every jail in the county of the state. So therefore, when people get incarcerated, they ask for the bail list, and your name and your agent's names and contact information will be posted there. So typically that's the way it works. When we get that information, we get a call from a client. So we have to locate the client, where location that person is in, what city, are they in Fairfax, are they in Arlington? We have to get the client's name, because this information is very important because we have to give this information to the deputy as well as to the magistrate to start the process. So the amount of the bond, we have to figure that out. We have to call and get this information. We have to coordinate to meet the client who called. They have to sign a contract with the bail bonding company. Quick and easy bail bonds, let my people go. They have to do that part and sign an indemnity agreement. And I see I have a couple questions here. Okay. Okay, so, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry, let me smooth on forward.
No problem. And Mr. Watts, we have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I'm going too long. Okay, wow, I got so much to cover. I need to speed it up. I'm sorry, I'm taking up so much time.
Of course, we know you're excited, good brother. So,
so the bail process, let me run through some things. So if I post a bail bond, that's me here posting a bond. And the individual goes through this process to the left. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the court process. And then it could end right there. Okay. But the process next goes to the bond exoneration. And that means that if the bond no longer wants to continue, the Commonwealth attorney no longer wants to figure that out. So this is the process that we go through. Each one of these steps are pertinent to doing a bond. All right. Let me just jump to the forfeiture portion and the FTA, the failure to appear. These two comes in handy for the bonding process, because in times when the person does not show up for court, we have to act as we're also licensed bounty hunters to go and get this person or the co-signer to either one or two things the court wants. They want that money that we put up, or they want that person back in jail. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit. I'm sorry about that.
No problem at all. We actually do have a hand up, so we'll save that for the Q&A. I do see
perfect.
Mr. Johnson in the chat.
Perfect. So who we serve? We sell the bail bonds department. We serve important public safety and financial service roles. We provide funds for bails that allow defendants to be released. So we have to be very knowledgeable about dollars and cents and how to add and subtract and how to track somebody and how to follow up with somebody. Okay, all these things are required. They're licensed and regulated through the Department of Criminal Justice, DCJS. That's what DCJS stands for. So who did I become a bondsman? Why did I become a bondsman? Who inspired me? What was my goal? What was my plan? Well, I had a cousin. I was fortunate. I had a mentor, happened to be a cousin, had to be a deacon in the church, had to be a pillar of the community. You know, he was my cousin. I was able to go to his house. I asked questions. And when I graduated from college, I worked for different private organizations. I did 13 years in the military. When I got out of the military back in 2013, I said I was going to open up a business. And I knew more about the bail bonding business from all the years that I worked and watched and asked questions with my family. So that for me, so if there's any lesson learned, my cousin really paved the way for me. I was able to watch, ask questions, shadow. Everything I'm doing, I basically did with somebody. I got my hands dirty. I was involved with a lot that he did so that I can learn a little bit about the business that I was seeking. Okay. So, you know, you have to choose your career. You have to figure that out. You have to figure out what you're good at. You have to determine whether or not this is something that you can do, what you're good at. Whether or not you decide to be an entrepreneur, serve your country, teach tomorrow's youth, or join a corporation. You have to find that one person that you can look up to say that I can do this because I've done it, and you're interested in it and you're motivated. So you don't wait for the opportunity to create itself. Okay. Steps to become a bail bondsman. I'm going to run through this, but just the basic steps. There are laws. There are laws that you have to follow. You have to comprehend. I tell everybody to go to virginialaws.gov and learn all about the laws in the Commonwealth of Virginia. You must be 18 years of age. You must be a United States citizen or legal resident. You have to be have a high school diploma or a GED. You have to be completed training, and training is by the DCGS board. You have an exam there. You have an exam by the Bureau of Insurance. You have 2 exams there. You have to pass, and every 2 years you have to pass a renewal, a license exam, and you have to pay fees. And the fees run up to about $1,500 every 2 years just to maintain your license. And the last one down below is you have to take some continuing education courses, as well as number 5, you have to have $200,000 to start the business. So you have to have funds to bond people out. And that can be done in 3 different ways that we previously discussed. It can be done in surety, it can be done in cash, or it can be done in property. When I started off in property. So I put up houses to equal 200,000. So quick and easy bail bonds, you gotta have determination, you gotta have attention to detail, you gotta have confidence, empathy, courage, all those things. What's next for us? The possibilities are endless right now due to the pandemic and possibly due to regulation. Regulation meaning that the government is coming in to looking at new ways for us to bail bond people out. So in the state of Virginia, they want to try something different. So there is a possibility that I have to transition. So in the meantime, I need to be ready. I don't want to wait for it. They tried it with New York, and New York says, no way, it didn't work, bring bonding back. So New York is full-fledged moving. California, they tried it with California. California shut down for 2 weeks, and they said, no way, it's too much crime. We need to bring it back. State of Texas. So there are things that you have to do to maintain. So Virginia is not quite there yet, but it looks like they're going to regulation. And if they do, what am I going to do? Do I sit on the wayside? Do I sit there, cross my fingers and legs and just wait? No, not likely. I get busy. So what have we done? In the industry of bonding, we have to transition. Perfecting your chosen career is important. We have to keep learning, keep doing, and keep trying. So what we have done already, we have submitted applications for our franchise opportunities. We have developed and gone into the solar farming. So we're touching bases with the right people in North Carolina to do that. We're beginning in Norfolk, Virginia to start a group home, as well as in Norfolk, Virginia, because of the casinos coming to the state of Virginia. We're looking at bed and breakfasts in that same region. And if possible, New York and South Carolina right now will probably be our next place where we open up a quick and easy bail bonds, because those 2 states right now are doing well and they're moving forward with bonding. We don't see regulations going to be a problem in those 2 states. So with that, thank you. I ran through the last part of it because I realized I was eating too much time. So this quick and easy bail bonds, if you need to reach me and let my people go. All right, I'm going to step back over.
And Mr. Watts, I understand that you have to leave, but we did have a couple questions that we wanted to get through. Number one was a question from our Q&A, and the question was, as the owner of a bails bonds company, do you have to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Yes, that's true. I advertise 24/7. When people get in trouble at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I have some very irregular hours. It's important to service your clients. A lot of times I'm in the middle of other meetings and I have to get out of that meeting to serve a client. So yes.
Awesome. And then I have 2 questions, 2 hands raised. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them talk. And then I'll start with Miss Rashida Branson. So give me one moment.
Okay.
I just gave you the ability to talk. Miss Branson, you there?
Yes, I am. I have 2 questions. The first is, you talked about, like, for example, the property you put up for the person to be able to come out. And then you said there are things that happen to the property if the person doesn't show up for court or if you can't find them. So it sounds like it's a big risk. I'm not sure how much actually happens to the property or what really happens to the property, but it sounds like a lot of risk. If you could touch on that. Yes. And then also the, well, I'll let you answer that one first. Sorry.
So yes, the bail bonding industry is a very risky business because nobody's in the business to lose money. We put up money to get your loved one out. And so what I tell my clients is that I don't know your loved one. And so if I have to put up property or cash or bond your loved one out, you have to assure to me that your loved one is going to come to court, because if they do not come to court, what I put up to get your loved one out, I lose. So you're signing an indemnitor to assure me that I'm going to receive my money back. So the property receiving, so the property receiving, when you put up property, that receives a lien against the property, which means before you sell it, the county will get their money back. If I put up cash, that means I have a certain period of time to bring you the defendant, the client, the person I bonded back to court before I lose that money. So there are lots of risks. This is a high risk, high gain business. So you have to be very, very knowledgeable, very strong. You cannot be a timid type of person to be in this business.
And that actually goes to my second question, was what is the gain? I didn't see that you touched on that part. Like, is there a percentage that you actually get from the company if the person goes to court?
When you say a percentage, to what percentage are you referring to? I don't understand your question.
Like, what do you get out of?
I get you. I get it. Yeah. So yes, I did touch on that a little bit. It's a percentage of the money that we put up. So instance, I put up $5,000 to get a friend out of jail. The court set a bond at $5,000. The law says that I can charge 10 to 15% if I choose, and I look at their record and they said, this is not a person that's going to run, not a flight risk. I can do 10% with this guy. I put up $5,000 to get this one person out. 10% of $5,000 is $500. So I gain $500 to run my business, my organization, and therefore your family gets to go to work, come home, continue with their life until they go to court and finalize their court hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, sure, no problem. Good question.
Ms. Branson, thank you so much. We did have one more questions, but I'm going to ask that they put their question in the chat, and then we'll keep it going. Mr. Seabrooks, you're up next. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate you joining us today. So with that being said, Mr. Seabrooks, whenever you're ready, if you could share your screen, we'll get into Heritage Treasures next.
All right.
Your take on what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur.
Okay.
And then for the audience, just like we had one question that came in through the Q&A, or if you want to raise your hand and talk on live for the webinar, keep in mind that this is recorded. It's going to be on YouTube. Either way is absolutely fine if you'd like to talk live, or if you just want us to, you just want to type your question, then we can answer it live for you. Either way is absolutely fine.
I think Rick has to stop sharing so I can share.
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't stopped it. Okay. Stop. Sharing. It's all on me. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
So
no,
I stopped your video. Give me a second. Let me see if I can kill your, there you go. I did it for you.
Thank you so very much.
And then Mr. Seabrooks, it's on you.
All right.
And 15 minutes on the clock, Mr. Seabrooks.
All right.
Don't worry about the clock. Do your best.
Okay. All right. You should have the full picture of my slides. Good afternoon to everyone.
Hold on, Mr. Seabrooks. Before you get started, we don't see anything yet. Did you share your screen?
I did, but let's see. I got the full. It's in my full screen now. So let's see.
Yeah, you have to share it from the Zoom. I'm not sure if you just share my PowerPoint.
Okay, let's see. Let me get in this.
Should be a little green button in the middle of your Zoom window, in the middle at the bottom.
Okay, let's see.
Awesome. So it's loading now, and yes, we can see it. You just have to flip over to wherever your slides are, and then we can see your screen.
All right.
Yep, and then from beginning, and then you are good to go. All you.
All right, very good. All All right, so yes, my name is Robert C. Brooks. I'm the Vice President of the Heritage Treasure Screen Printing and Embroidery Company. Good afternoon to everyone. Glad you're able to join us. Basically, my role in the company, first let me give you a little background on what we're going to talk about today. Background of the company, some of the insights on operating a screen printing and embroidery business, my background and role, describe how, when, and how the company was started, the major components of business operations, major elements of operating costs, elements of marketing and outreach, and sources of research data and financial support for starting a business. Essentially, that's the elements of this presentation. The company was started in 1990 and it was based on my wife who was retiring from her company. She worked for a corporation and wanted to be her own boss. And essentially, she got the idea and had a partner, and the two of them went together and decided to print a T-shirt for sale based on a popular TV show at the time. The show is called In Living Color. And they decided to print a shirt called Homie Don't Play That and made it available for sale, and they sold it and was successful. So business took off just from that particular idea and thought. She got started by using severance funds from her resignation from a major corporation, and that money she put into the business to get it started. Essentially, how she got started was by taking a training course at a community college and just to get an idea what's involved in owning and operating a business. She used contacts from trade show events that she attended and participated in to get some idea of what's involved and contacts for getting screen printing done. My role in the company, I'm a certified public accountant. I've been retired from the U.S. federal government for about 10, 12 years now. So I've been helping her full time. I provide bookkeeping and accounting services. I've been selling her shirts and stuff at conferences and trade shows. We use QuickBooks accounting software, which is basically a software that keeps track of the sales and expenses of the company. I prepare tax reports and federal and state reports for the business. Some major components of our business operations. Screen printing basically on graphics, textile garments, embroidering graphic designs on textile garments, providing custom logo design printing, embroidery services to customers. We serve the DMV area, and of course we have a showroom of all our Divine 9 graphic design t-shirts and embroidery products. We have a showroom that also has selected HBCU embroidered products and items for sale. We exhibit our merchandise at trade shows and conferences around the country, including educator conferences, teachers, of course, the Divine 9 conferences, HBCU homecomings and things like that. The major equipment we use in our production process, we have a what's called a Sportsman automatic printing press that can print as much as 600 shirts an hour, I'm sorry. We have a 6-head Tajima embroidery machine that we use to embroider shirts on. There's what's called an exposure unit, which is used to make screens to print screen printing on shirts. Of course, a washout booth is a part of the equipment that's used to operate and burn the screens. And then a 48-foot conveyor belt dryer is used to dry the shirts. These are some pictures of those items. The embroidery machine on the left there, it's a big machine that, we use to embroider hats, caps, shirts, whatever. And then on the right is the screen printing automatic press that I mentioned. Some of the major operating costs of our business, of course, direct labor. You need someone to operate the machines and to run them to produce the products and services that you have. Some of our raw materials, of course, are blank goods, t-shirts, jackets, sweaters, caps. You have to have warehouse supplies, of course, including inks, threads, and chemicals to manage and keep the products clean and ready for use. We use film for screen printing images, the embroidery hoops and things like that. That's just all a part of the operating components. And then, of course, you have, in any business, you have your space costs, your indirect costs, electricity, telephone, web page services for making their shirts available on the website. Some of our key elements of what we've used to operate our business is, of course, we have a website that you can go to and see the shirts that we have for sale. We have a showroom where we can entertain walk-in customers who want to buy a shirt. We also market our shirts and products at conferences and trade shows around the country, as I mentioned. And then we have a local clientele that we do custom specific printing for, which we can put your school logo, your church or community organization logo on a shirt that you want to use to promote your business. We've done shirts for charity events, recognition wear that supports and promote a particular activity that you're putting in place. Now, sources of research and data for financial help. This is a generic slide I put up just to give you some background on where you can get data about businesses, Department of Commerce. These are a list of the places that you can get information on financial help, ideas for a business, the market scheme of what's out there in terms of businesses. And one of the biggest things to me is that in order to start a business, you need to have a passionate feel for the particular item that you want to pursue as a business. And that is, it could be something that you have a personal problem with, or that you currently don't see an opportunity for someone to solve a particular problem that you think needs to be solved. And then you have to have some passion for that idea that you want to pursue. There's guidance all over nowadays for getting business help and ideas for starting a business. That's just a picture of our location. And in summary, I'd just like to point out a couple things. When we started our business back in 1990, the website didn't exist. There was no cell phones, nothing like that. And so what we did and what we pursued was conferences and trade shows and word of mouth kind of advertising to get started in selling the shirts and stuff that we made available. And it is important that you do research to identify a particular area that you want to pursue as a business, because as Brother Cole said at the outset, most businesses fail, and they fail when you have operating costs that exceed your income or sales from your business. So it's very important that you be able to manage and operate the business to make it profitable, because otherwise you're going to fail and not be able to continue. The other big aspect here is the importance of researching a particular area and idea to be sure what is the market saying about the opportunity that you want to pursue. Is it a viable plan? Is it a viable idea that you think can work in the particular area or community you're in? And of course, then you're going to need to develop a business plan. You're going to need to obtain financing to start the business. And after you get started, it's going to be important in managing your costs and operating expenses to make sure the business is profitable. couple of things that come to mind when I think about what is different today from when we started our business back in 1990. And as I said, cell phones didn't exist, the website didn't exist. You had social media didn't exist. So we started at a point in history when none of these avenues were available as a means of spreading the word about your business and opportunity for getting additional sales. We pursued at the time the trade show conference avenue for setting up exhibits to sell and get our products out before the community. So those are pretty much the aspects that I wanted to share with you today, and encourage you, if you have an idea for a business, to make sure you do the research on it and be sure that it's an opportunity that you think you can make work in order for it to be successful. And pretty much that's my presentation. And are there any questions?
Mr. Seabrooks, thank you so much. Really do appreciate you taking the time out and staying within the slot. We did have a few questions. Number one from the Q&A. So what interests did you have growing up that led you to this business venture? So you talk about like having a passion for what you actually decide to jump into to start your business. So what were your interests before you started Heritage Treasures?
Well, one of the things that in my background, and certainly in my wife's background, as we started this business, was she had family members who owned a business. And of course, it had experience with operating and seeing them operate a business. So she got at least some experience from that perspective in terms of what it takes to operate and manage a business. The other big thing is, as I said, a passionate feel for it. And she is very good at the creative and like the idea of fashion design. And one of our initial slogans for her business was our desire is to inspire. And so I know that in her early part of her business, she did Christian shirts, and they were such a hot item that the business grew from that standpoint.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I had another one. So let me read it out. It's a little bit long. So now that you have the internet available, do you think it's best to reevaluate the showroom part of the business and focus on marketing online so you don't have the extra expense of a bigger building, especially as so much traveling for sales at conferences, as you do so much traveling for sales at conferences?
Well,
so should you get into e-commerce? I think that's the shortened version of the question.
Yes, well, thank you. And we definitely feel that that's critically important. And as COVID has demonstrated for us this particular last year, we have certainly had our business sales significantly reduced because we're not able to do conferences and so forth. So clearly the e-commerce component, the use of internet and Square software like that, those processing opportunities exist. And so we are looking clearly at that. We just revamped our new website to pursue that. We're looking to get someone to help us with the Facebook, because we're kind of in that age group where Facebook and social media is not our forte. So clearly those are areas that we're looking to pursue, especially during this time.
Excellent, excellent. Now I'm going to sneak in one more personal question, and then I'll give the floor to Mr. Knight, who's up next. So my question for you is, based on the business that Mr. Watts had, where he was actually offering a service, but with you offer a set of products. What are the differences in your mind in terms of managing inventory versus managing paperwork and working with people offering a service? What are the key differences between you having to manage a showroom or inventory or a physical product?
Yeah, clearly there's a big difference there. When you have products, as I indicated during the presentation, you have operating costs, you have raw materials you have to manage, and your inventory you have to manage. So there are costs associated with producing the product that you're going to sell, as I indicated in the presentation. You have equipment expenses to manage and maintain. You have rent and space to maintain for operating the equipment. So there's clearly some big differences there. I think Brother Watts, as a service business that's devoted mainly to, he doesn't have a brick and mortar place. I'm sure he can run that out of his home. Whereas for us, we have to have at least a brick and mortar place to print the shirts and make them available.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. So thank you so much, Mr. Seabrooks. We really do appreciate you giving your time. I'll ask you to sit tight. Mr. Knight, I do have your slides available. Just give me one moment. I will pull those up. And then once you see them on the screen, we can go ahead and get started with you.
Sure thing, thanks.
All right. All right, give me a second. And then let me know if you see my screen.
I got it, thank you.
Awesome. And then just let me know when you want me to click forward.
Okay, very good.
Cool.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you setting up this informative tutorial for the young, soon-to-be entrepreneurs. I like to call them soon-to-be.
So I like that.
I want to say thank you to my fellow brothers who also participated. So I want to take a moment just to talk about who I am, my company, where we've come from and where we're going. As you can see on the screen, the name of the company is my last name, Knight Solutions. As you can see, we're in the construction side of the business. As you'll see when I go through these slides, we do a number of construction projects with the federal government. We do a lot of cemetery renovation. We do a lot of hospital renovation, and we also do landscaping. If you go to the next slide for me, brother, one of the things that I would always encourage young people, anyone looking to start a business, establish your value. Figure out what your values are for the organization. You as the owner, you as the entrepreneur need to have and establish a culture. And what we do at Knight Solutions, we strive to employ, because I'm a veteran, I served in the military, we strive to employ veterans first. So whenever we get a job, whether it may be in California, Florida, we do work all over the country. First thing we do is we go to the VA community, the VA hospitals, the VA unemployment services, and we say, where are my vets at? Let's see if we can put them to work. And we take very great pride in that because we believe in always helping our soldiers and our fallen soldiers. If you go to the next slide, and then we have my company because of the way we started off. We didn't just jump into it. We did our research. We had a passion about it. We knew what we wanted to do. We actually researched our competitors, and we said, okay, we know what we want. We want to be unique, though. We want to be uniquely talented. So we have consistently been recognized throughout the Mid-Atlantic region and throughout the country for offering our expertise in general contracting, construction management, and pre-construction services to our clients. If you go to the next slide, we, within the construction industry, there's certain types. You can be a general contractor, and you can basically, all you're doing is you're hiring a bunch of subcontractors like electricians, pipe fitters, different trades. Well, we take pride in that we self-perform some of our work. What does that do? That allows us, like I said earlier, to hire veterans, to hire people that are not doing too well, who may have just gotten out of prison, who need help, who need to get on their feet. We take pride in doing self-performance. So when we can self-perform, we can teach those guys how to perform these trades. So this just shows a number of things that we do. I'm not going to run through them all, but we go from anywhere from site work all the way down to drywall and painting. Next slide, please. So who we are, we embrace the creation of our local opportunities for small. We work with a lot of small, minority, and disadvantaged businesses throughout the county and throughout the state. Go ahead, next slide. We were founded, started the company in 2005. Since 2005, we've been in the business for over 16 years. We've been nominated as one of the fastest growing companies in America for 2 years in a row. We were Small Business Company of the Year in 2014. We were one of the first recognized veteran-owned businesses in the town of Leesburg back in 2016. So we have done a lot. And as you notice, I keep saying we because you're only as good as your team are. I have about 85 employees, hard, dedicated workers who get me up and keep me going every day to keep this going. They keep me motivated. We keep each other motivated, and we hold each other accountable. Next slide, please.
Okay.
So with any company, I'm not going to read the mission, the vision, and the value, but I'll reiterate again. Before you say, I'm going to start a company, I'm going to do anything, before you even write your business plan, you need to understand the mission. You need to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then the how are we going to do it? You need to have that vision. This needs to be a big dream that you have. You just need to break it down and say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to get there. And then while you're getting there, you need to have values for how you're going to accomplish it. Do not take this slide lightly. I can talk on this slide for an hour to you guys, talking about how to build a mission, how to build a vision, how to build that strategy to make sure that you achieve your mission and vision statement. Next slide, please.
Oops. Sorry.
So just to talk about what we do, I told you we do construction, but you can have one thing is to be able to say, okay, this is what I do, but who buys your products? Who do you serve? As you can see, we have over 15 different clients throughout the country, throughout the federal government. Goes back to our mission, goes back to our vision, goes back to the standards that we hold within our organization. And this is why we continue to be successful. And when we're successful, our veterans are successful, and the economy is successful. Next slide, please. Some of the key projects that we do, next slide, in our construction division. We do a lot of design build work for GSA, USDA. The third bullet point is the Eisenhower Memorial National Memorial that we just completed about 4 months ago. It's right downtown in the heart of downtown DC. It's been a project that's been in the making for about 40 years. Something Eisenhower, they wanted to do to commemorate Eisenhower. With Nice Solutions, my firm was selected to work with Clark Construction on that, so we're very proud of that. The next few are, we do a lot of cemetery work. You see Culpeper National Cemetery. We also do work at the Treasury. We do work at a lot of VA hospitals. So these are our construction general projects. Next slide, please. These are just another list of projects that we've completed throughout the area, throughout the country. Next slide. It's a picture of one of my guys at the NIH where we did a project in one of their labs over there. Next. That probably looks familiar to a lot of you guys. Maybe not. That's the Pentagon, where we've done some work with those guys a number of times. As you can see, my veterans are working. That makes me very proud. Next slide. That's the cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. And once you look at this, you say, okay, what do you do? But you see those headstones that are lined up like soldiers, lined up very straight. It takes a lot of work to do that. You know, no matter which way you look at them, they're going to be looking as if they're standing up just like soldiers. We have a group of guys that put that work together, and we do that work throughout the country. This is what we call a national shrine. This is called the shrine status to represent our fallen soldiers and their families. Next slide. Same thing, it's just work in progress, same cemetery. As you can see, our guys taking pride in what we're doing. Next slide. Okay, so this is where we talk about why did I choose this space? As I stated earlier, you gotta have a passion for giving back. You know, I had a passion for giving back to my fallen soldiers because I served in the military. I knew there was a vacant space for contractors to get out there and take care of these cemeteries that we have throughout the country that we put our soldiers in when they do pass away. I also did my research and I knew that there was only limited competition that was doing this type of work. That research didn't take 30 days or 6 months. It took a couple of years to figure that out. And then the most important thing, it made me happy. It made me feel good about what I wanted to do. You got to make sure that what you're doing makes you feel happy. You got to want to get up every day. You got to want to get up and punch the bell or punch, you know, and ring that bell, ring that alarm every day. The only way you can do that is if you're enthusiastic about what you're doing. Next slide, please. So I got started. First thing I had to do was I went into the military. After I got out of the military, I decided I had to get my degree. I needed that for what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do be a business owner. Got my degree. I started working for different organizations within Fortune 500. I used to work for General Motors and companies like that. What that taught me was how to run a business. I worked very close with the management staff and the leadership within each one of those organizations. And as I stated, the research on who you are, research on where you want to be, research on the market you want to be in, and then don't be afraid to talk to others. Don't be afraid to talk to other business leaders, other entrepreneurs, other classmates that may have other ideas. Maybe you guys can team together and work together on something that's a story, you know, something that can blow the market away. Next slide. So how do you stay focused? Once you do your research, once you figure out what you want to do, hone in on your craft, become better and better at what you're doing. And the only way you can do that is by staying focused. You can't be in 10 or 20 different places. Once you know where you want to be, hone in on it, stay focused on that, and earn and learn your craft. And then also along the way, set short-term goals and long-term goals. What's a short-term goal? I want to be able to get up in the morning. I want to get my homework done by 1 o'clock. And then I want to be able to get the chores that my mom and my dad has asked me to do, get that done by 5 o'clock. That's a short-term goal. The long-term goal is I want to apply to Virginia Tech, or I want to apply to Hampton University or Norfolk State, and I want to do all this applying before the next 3 months. I want to get accepted 3 months following that. Those are long-term goals. So you got your short-term goals and you got your long-term goals. And believe me, if you start that practice today, that'll carry over to you as you continue to grow up and as you get into starting your own business or working or starting a family. And could always continue to monitor where you are. Where was I at when I started? Where am I at now? What was I doing yesterday this time? Am I doing something different? Am I doing something different than I was doing last year? Always continue to check and monitor your progress and keep your eye on the prize. I always like to say, every individual should have a standard. You're your biggest brand, so you should have a standard. Your standard should always be above of what other standards are. Always, and never lower your standard for anyone. And always keep your eye on the long-term prize. Keep your eye on the prize. Next slide.
There we go.
And I think where I'm going with this is I just wanted to throw some slides in here to just reiterate what I said about starting and growing your business, knowing the value, understanding the market, utilizing your resources. Resources are important. You got to be able to come up with the finances. You got to be able to work with people that can help you do your research. And then don't be afraid to work with the experts. You got experts on the line here. Don't be afraid to reach out to the people that you know. Next slide. This is just a slide that talks about the market that I am. It tells you about how to go after federal contracts. If you're in this area and you're doing business, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be doing business with the federal government. So this kind of just talks about the different levels and steps that one would need to take in order to be successful with working with the federal government. Next slide. That's a picture of a trade show. We talked about market. I think Brother Seabrooks talked about shows that he goes to. As you can see, we do marketing. We also do fundraisers. Up on the left, that's me and Tyrod Taylor, and I think Michael Vick was at this show, because I'm from I'm from Tidewater, Hampton area, so I'm from where Allen Iverson, Michael Vick, Tyrod Taylor, and Mike Tomlin. So every year we'll come back and we'll give back to the community. We'll do fundraisers. So always remember to be able to give back. If you have the ability to do that, go back and give back. So we take pride in doing that. And down here, you see me at one of the school's seminars, career days, and then that's me at a trade show. So I think this is the last slide. I want to say thank you for your time, and I'm open to any questions.
Excellent. Mr. Knight, thank you so much for that presentation. We really do appreciate it. So let me pull up the Q&A. Okay, if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or type in the Q&A. I do have one. So Mr. Ashby, I understand. Give me a second. Let me stop sharing my screen, and then I'll unmute your microphone, Mr. Ashby. All right. Then Mr. Ashby, anything that you anything you have to say? You might be on mute right now.
First of all, I like to applaud all of those folks that that take on the whole idea of starting their own business and you know, pressing through, especially with the kind of competition that we have out here in this market. The thing is, I just wanted to make a comment. I've never had a business of my own. However, I worked in the finance business for over 37 years on the private side and federal government. And I'm actually a senior loan specialist, the Department of Agriculture, where we guarantee loans, and we deal in the business and industry side, which is a lot of small businesses that get loans and everything for the to start up their businesses. And the one thing, as far as I deal on the servicing side, and the one thing that I see so much, a lot of what happens, and somebody touched on as far as a lot of failed businesses, a lot of times you have the major reason that you have failed businesses are primarily because a lot of businesses that are started up, they don't get the necessary startup money, working capital, the proper amount of working capital. The other thing is their business plans are not on point as far as being able to address who their target market is and understanding what the competition is out there. And also being able to have multiple revenue streams to be able to operate in such changing market, and being able to understand that when the market's changed, how to be able to change on the fly and change your business plan. You know, these are some, and the last thing is case where you have a lot of businesses starting up like that, where they have absentee ownership. That is a problem, and they don't get in there and roll up their sleeves and get into the business early on and realize they may have to do a lot of the work themselves until they can start bringing on a lot of other employees to do some of those jobs. That's what I like to say.
Oh, thank you so much. So I guess Mr. Knight, in terms of what Mr. Ashby had commented on, is like a changing environment. How you can give a live example of how you're doing with your business, but take coronavirus, for instance, or any other year where the government, they might be a little bit skimpy on the budget because there's a freeze or real allocation of funds or this and that. There might be unexpected turns. Does that affect your business in any way? And if so, how do you pivot?
It's a very good question. Thank you. One of the things I did, I was fortunate because I think some of you may know, the government has what they call a GSA schedule, and that's almost like e-buy for any normal American. But on that side of the business, I was fortunate enough to have janitorial services. So I have construction, but I also have janitorial. So when that happened, the clients started asking for COVID cleaning. So where most businesses took a downturn, we actually saw growth in business. We got projects in Hawaii, in California, Atlanta, where we're doing regular spraying for COVID. And as the government starts to come back to work, whenever they do go back, we anticipate that picking up even more so. So we were able to pivot from staying focused on one thing that we knew, which is construction, and said, okay, we have this other ability to do another stream of revenue, and we tapped into that. So it worked out in our favor. Thank you.
Awesome. And then we have one question from the Q&A. So do you offer internships for your business? And If so, do you provide extensive training for individuals that don't have experience? That might be two questions. Number one, do you have internships? And number two, do you train individuals that don't have the experience to come on day one at Night Solutions?
We do offer internships, and then we also offer on-the-job training. So what we typically do is we'll pair the young kids up with somebody on my marketing department or somebody with one of my assistant project managers just to learn what we do in terms of running projects. Now you may you may come in there and you may be doing some work for the accountant that I work with. So it's different functions that we offer, but we do typically offer our internships. And we have a website. I'm sorry if it should be on those slides, but if not, it's www.solutionsfirst.com. Or if you just Google that, my website will come up, and there's a section in there you can click on for HR.
Awesome. So thank you so much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, yeah, I think I have it right here. I'm going to put your website in the chat, if you don't mind, Mr. Knight. And that will be for everybody. And I couldn't tell you which page actually has the internship, so I'm sure if you do a little bit of digging, you'll be able to find it in no time. So with that being said, Mr. Knight, thank you so much. We do have already on the screen Mr. Mustafa, who's ready to go, who's here to talk about his venture and his take on what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Mr. Mustafa, whenever you're ready.
Hey, thank you, Brother Cole. First of all, it was pumped me up to be able to sit back and listen to the other three brothers present their businesses, and the first thing that came across, you can see how broad ventures can be, how many different areas. And Brother Knight, I commend you, man, for your work you're doing with the federal government and for our veterans, because that's what it's all about. So when I need a job, I'm gonna come see you. I'm a veteran, okay? So, all right. So my name is Bernard Mustafa. I'm the CEO of Striver LLC, BFit Technologies, and have a little agenda. Talk a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey, where I am today, my current steps, and then want to spend time just talking about the product, the business that we're in, because it's new to the U.S. and it's one of those things that not many people know about it, and so I want to share what it is more and then close with some pointers on being an entrepreneur. So with that said, I'm not going to go through my youth education business. I have enough time for all that because that's a whole bunch of years that's going across there. The important thing is at the bottom, I sold, my partners and I sold PVBS in February of 2018, which we had been in business together since 2003. And I retired from PVBS in March of 2020. And basically retired was because I had an employment contract where I had to stay with the company who bought us for 2 years. And once that was up, I was out. During that time, after we sold the company, my family, my wife and I actually started, we decided that we wanted to open a family business. So we created Striver LLC in October 2018. And Striver comes out of New York. It was an area in New York where people really working to uplift the community. And in March of 2020, we created BFit Technologies, which is actually owned by Striver LLC. So go, went the wrong way. So the, for some reason I went to, what I'm showing on my screen is not, okay, there we go. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so let me just talk about the market we're in first, and then we'll get into BFit. So basically, we decided to get the wellness and fitness market. And that's because we see the wellness economy becoming intentional, integrative, and holistic. What we mean by that is that people are spending a lot of time and money on fitness and wellness, and we see that time and convenience is increasingly important in our society, right? People want to get everything done right away. They want you to come to them. So so that kind of led us into this industry, and plus it's a huge industry, $4.2 trillion and growing pretty rapidly. It's taken a hit with COVID, but then there's still winners and losers in the industry. So Kevin pointed this out earlier that when you start a business, you got to have you should have a mission and a vision, and we also have our core values. But our vision and mission all around delivering a quality life to our clients. So I've been in fitness my whole life, but as a user, but then I see it as a huge opportunity in really being one that can deliver innovative fitness solutions. And then beyond that, to be a partner in the whole wellness industry, because there's going to be a tremendous amount of technology that's going to evolve in wellness and fitness, and we want to be in a position to be able to take advantage of that. So I said, well, how do you get into that? So when you look at my team, we've got a lot of skills in the family, and we did a little inventory before we jumped off in the business and looked at the skills and what we pay for all these college educations and things, and we looked at what the kind of skills we had. So everything from business to health and fitness skills in our family. We have sports psychologists, certified personal trainers, people involved in martial arts on the health and fitness side. And then on the business side, I bring some of the entrepreneurial skills from my history. My wife has been in technology. I'm in finance. One of my sons is in sales. So we bring all these skills together, and we use that in the business. There's 4 family members: myself, my wife, one of my sons, and my nephew. And we play over time. We want to get more of the family involved. So the plan, I talked about BFit. So BFit is what we call a B2B company. We sell called electromuscle stimulation systems to gyms, to studios, to hotels, other industry and businesses that are used the technology in their fitness centers. Then we open up a WB20. So and that's a studio where we do electronic muscle stimulation training. And I'm going to show you what that is in a moment. And then we integrate some other technology, such as the Fit3D body scanner. And then eventually what we plan to do is become a franchisor of these systems. So we open our first studio, and once we get to 3, then we'll start to look at putting in place both either licensing agreements or a franchising operation. So WB20, this is the focus of the rest of the presentation. Whole body electromuscle stimulation. Put in the chat if you heard of it before. Most people in the US have not. It's big in Europe. We call it powered personal training. And the whole point there is that you get a 90-minute workout in 20 minutes. And what I'm going to do through the rest of the presentation, I'm going to really kind of break that down a little bit and do a couple of videos that'll show you some examples of the technology at work. And then that'll give you a better idea, because this is one of those things you almost have to touch. So why don't we go through, and without further ado.
So if you're wondering what EMS is, it is an electric muscle stimulation workout that targets your full body. So there's electrodes on all of my different muscle groups, and they're all working right now, even though I'm only doing a bicep curl. So my butt, my hamstrings, my quads, my abs are all still being contracted, although I'm only doing a standard arm workout. So the great thing about EMS is that it's super low impact on your joints because you don't have to use super heavy weights. So today I'm just going to be using 10 pounds for my deadlifts, but my muscles are still going to be able to get the same breakdown as if I was using way heavier weights, but there's not going to be as much impact on my joints. All right, here we go. So because of the added stimulation, these 10-pound dumbbells feel like they're about 60 pounds each. Because of that added stimulation that's going way deeper into my muscle and contracting about double the amount of muscle fibers as I'm able to contract during a conventional workout.
I'm feeling, Chelsea, good?
Burning. Yes, it's the best booty workout ever. Whew. If you guys have not experienced the glute burn, you are seriously missing out, because this burn is even more so than the resistance band burn with 100 reps. Okay guys, I'm finally in my cool down. So as you can see, my arms are shaking right now. This is because we are loosening the muscle fibers to release that lactic acid buildup, which is what causes soreness. So we're kickstarting the recovery right away.
So the whole point there, what I wanted to show you now,
Whole Body 20.
let's give you a little bit of how it works.
How does Whole Body EMS work? Whole Body EMS sends an electrical impulse to your muscles, telling them to contract. Normally, when you lift weights, your muscles contract because your central nervous system sends an impulse to them. Well, Whole Body EMS mimics that impulse. What happens is you put on a suit. The suit has electrodes spread out around every muscle group in your body. For example, these are the glutes, quads, hamstrings, back, chest, abs. And those electrodes stimulate your muscles to contract.
So when you say that the suit, so when Bernard, that's my son in the video, the suit is the see the gentleman has a suit on there, and on the left side of the screen there's a device, and that device controls the electrical stimulation, and he has the pads that are on his body, and then use an iPad to control, for the personal trainer to control the app. So what happened, we researched this in Europe, in Portugal, and Poland and Spain, and we bought systems from 3 manufacturers, and then we ended up selecting 1 manufacturer, and we are exclusive distributor of this system here in the DMV. That's the BFit side, and then the WB20 is that we have personal trainers. Right now we're up to 9 employees that we have personal trainers that provide training in studio and at a person's home. So when you saw Chelsea, she was tethered to a machine. The technology that we have is wireless. So that allows you to train in a studio, in a person's home, in a field, at a park, at the office, wherever. So it gave us a tremendous amount of flexibility. And we were slowed down by COVID, but not stopped. So we've been following COVID protocol, making sure we work in a smart way, but we've proceeded on with our vision and our strategy. So some of the early adopters of this, and this is just a slight list, like Usain Bolt, he always pops up as someone that people really know. But then Jose Maria, he is a pro championship golfer, and you'll see like a number of people out of Europe, the European soccer teams, volleyball and basketball teams are big into using the technology. It's just starting to come to the U.S. And the whole thing here is time, right? You can get a client can come in and suit up, train, warm up, cool down, unsuit, and out in 35 minutes. And the impact of the workout will be equivalent to a 90-minute. And that's because that the electrodes are contracting 95% of your muscles while without heavy weights. And that's the key for people like me with injuries, that I can do the workouts without having to use heavy weights. So the broad goals, so just like in personal training, it depends on the person's goals, whether they want to build muscle, burn fat, whether they want to tone. Like quite often ladies want to build their arms, their butt, and their glutes. It can functional fitness, and we're going to show you some examples in a moment, or you can target various muscle groups with the technology, and then you can do relaxation, improve circulation, and like you talked about before, get rid of the ionization. So this is just an example of one of our trainers. This is when we started a business in our basement. John has bought the system from us. He's a personal trainer here in Northern Virginia. And when we first started out, we started out in our basement. He's a big guy. He's probably 6'3", 6'4". Used to be a football player kind of guy. So he's using one of the original systems that we bought out of Spain. So we truly started our business in the basement. So that was when we were in the basement. And this is in Atlanta. So this kid is a junior in high school, football player. He's a linebacker. And he's going to do agility training. And the key is that because it's wireless, he can do the agility training. Watch his form. It's 1 minute and 23 seconds. But watch his form break down as he works out. And that's because he's working much harder than he normally would do with this little drill. You can see Bernard over there with the tablet while he's training. Look at that. Look at him. It's not even a minute. So this is applicable to athletes in training to build your speed and endurance. What? He's coming up. He's standing up. That was a total of 1 minute and 23 seconds. And you can see his form break down in the workout. So another example, this is a Thai boxer. And one of our clients is out of California, and he trains a number of celebrities. And his called BAM Fitness out of LA, and he does a number of celebrities with the technology.
Mr. Mustafa, I can only give you 2 more minutes.
Okay, all right, that's why I'll just move it.
I love the videos, by the way.
Okay, so one more, I'm gonna do this and we're gonna wrap up.
Cool.
So this gentleman is this is something that happened in Spain, and he has been doing it for 8 weeks, and before he could only shuffle his feet, he couldn't lift his feet up. And the EMS is really helping him to build the strength. It's connect his muscles to his nervous system and his muscles.
Wow.
And this is after 8 weeks. And we actually did the same thing in the US with a client down in your neck of the woods, Kevin, in Norfolk. And I'm going to scroll past it, but to give you an idea. And the reason why I want to show this is the broad application of this technology in the fitness industry is the reason why I wanted to show these examples. And he was only shuffling his feet 8 weeks before this. You see the trainer has a tablet there. Come on. Come on. Cool. Yep. So I'm gonna stroll past this. So anyway, this is like a testimonial from one of our clients. He didn't believe it at first. The workout, he didn't think that a 20-minute workout he could really work that hard. And so Brian is a business owner here in Northern Virginia. So to wrap up, our studio has just been built out. It's over in George Washington Parkway, Suite 125. We should have our sign up pretty soon. We're doing a ribbon cutting probably the end of February, early March. That's our first studio. We plan to open up 2 more studios. So not going to go into the plan in more detail, but be an entrepreneur. So start with an exit. And what I mean by that is that when you start a business, think about what do you want to do? Is it going to be a lifestyle business? Do you want to sell it? If you want to sell it, things you need to do. Like in our case, we want to be a franchise. So we're putting in place the infrastructure to be a franchisor. You got to create your brand. So the BFit technology, WB20, the WB20 is already trademarked. And we're in a process of trademarking BFit technologies. In a business, you're never off. When you become an entrepreneur, you have to live with ambiguity and risk. And COVID tells you that it fades today, the way you live. And then you have to create multiple revenue streams, annuities, subscriptions, products or productized services, and then learn from other people because mistakes cost money. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Mr. Mustafa, that was excellent. We really do appreciate you giving that presentation. Watching that, I think I want one. I want to go to the gym.
There you go. That's what it's all about, man.
Hey, if you need a brand ambassador, let me know.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. So for the sake of time, we still want to get people out of here relatively by 5 o'clock Eastern time. Give me a second. I do see one question in the Q&A. Actually, this is a good question, so I will ask it to Mr. Mustafa. So can you give a brief description of the differences between owning your own business versus being a franchisee?
Right, so franchisee owns their own business also. The difference is that you are paying someone to provide infrastructure, marketing, and other tools in your business. So if you take like a McDonald's, for example, many of the McDonald's are franchisees. And the corporation McDonald's is a franchisor, and the franchisors provide the systems and the branding and all that stuff to the franchisee. But that franchisee has to execute, and they have to sell, and they own the employees, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So at this point, we'll switch over into the panel discussion. So this is where Mr. Nye, Mr. Seabrooks, even now, Mr. Johnson, I see that you're on camera now. I'll ask that you jump in. It's going to be a conversation. I have a few questions I wanted to kick to you guys, and then we'll just start the discussion. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask to the entire group was, we talked a lot about this a little bit before, but when starting a business, is it better to take out a loan and to start a company on debt, or to find partners or find investors and sell pieces or shares of your company? So starting it with debt or starting it with other people is money.
I can start if you like.
Sure.
So I guess it depends on how much money you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Normally businesses start out with their own money, either their wealth in homes, like or whatever it may be, or credit cards or whatever, or family, friends, because the banks are not going to loan to you when you first start off an idea. It's going to be very hard. What I propose is you need to have a profitable business before you bring in investors, because if you have a great idea without profits, investors will want a large percentage of your idea. So Like in our case, we're bootstrapping the company today. Eventually, we're going to go to get investors, but we're going to have a profitable concept and idea. So when we go to get investors, we're not giving away everything that we develop.
Okay. And then any comments on that before we move on?
Yeah, I second what Bernard said. I think it all depends on the situation, how much money you're talking about, how much you're going to need. But ideally, you would want to not start off that business with investors, because investors are going to want to run the business they want to run it. You're going to want to run it the way you want to run it. So getting a small business loan is not a bad thing, as long as you can cover the debt in a timely manner and put it into your work plan.
Cool. And then let me get into the next question. So let's say it's been 3 years, it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years. So let's say that I'm not at that point where I'm profitable yet. So how do I know if my business is just taking time to get started and evolving, or if I should exit, like you said, Mr. Mustafa, and then go a different route, either doing a revamp of the current business or to get out and then maybe start a new venture?
Anybody want to go?
Yeah, I'll comment. I think it depends on, as he was saying, your exit strategy and what you're looking to do. If you've realized after being in the business that you didn't properly research, you're not really sure where you fit in the market, you don't have a unique product that you're selling, then you do need to kind of reevaluate to see where I am. Or if you have done your research, but you find out, hey, the market's collapsed a little, things are a bit different. Now you need to step back and reevaluate where you are, your ability to be successful in this business. Because if the business collapsed because of things that are outside your control, then as he said, now you have to reevaluate, determine, am I moving in a different direction, or do I stay here? But if I'm going to stay here, what's my unique sell to my customers? If I'm offering the same thing and I'm going to be in the same spot, then it may be a time to say, hey, let me step away. Because every business owner will tell you that they've had several other businesses before they had one that was successful. So we've all at some point or another failed at a business that we had before, because you go through, you do that, you take that time to reevaluate where you are and realize you need to move on.
And I wouldn't wait 3 to 5 years either. And like Brother Knight hit it right on the head, is like when he said that he had to pivot when COVID hit and he started doing the janitorial piece, right? And that became a growth business. That's the way it is. I mean, you've got to constantly think about other ways to make money. The original idea may be great, but you have to continue to tweak it. And that never stops, because the market changed. Like Brother Seabrooks was talking about, when he started business, there was no internet, right? So it really has a big impact on you. So you got to constantly be tweaking, and things are not going to stop. The thing that's is going to happen is there's going to be change. And so you got to just keep on adapting to whatever that change is going to be.
Okay. Getting into the next question. So let's say that I'm still interested in being an entrepreneur, but I don't want to leave my 9 to 5 yet. So what are some tips that you've given tonight that apply if you're managing a side hustle that you want to grow that on the side, or you're ready to replace that as your full-time business? Especially in terms of time, the time that you're able to give to it while also managing your day job.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was just going to get a personal experience. I mean, when I started my business in 2005, I was in fact working in corporate America. So I can only share with you guys what I experienced. I mean, first of all, I had to get an agreement at home. I had to get an agreement at home that, look, my time is going to be limited. But when I talked to you guys earlier, I mentioned the short-term goals and the long-term goals. Here are my short-term goals. Here's the long-term goals. So as an entrepreneur, you always got to be a salesman, whether you're a salesman inside your home or outside of your home. So first I had to get that taken care of. After getting that taken care of, I said, okay, I need to be the best that I can be at my daytime job, because that's what's going to pay the bills. So I still had to strive at that. But every moment I had, from the time I got off, it was doing my research, doing my marketing, putting together a business plan, I mean, I looked at that as a full-time job within itself. And I had to cut a lot of the things out that I was doing. I mean, my time was very limited. I just had to stay focused. And I kept doing that for about 2 years. And then before I did that, because I had a good relationship with the company I was with, I informed them what I was doing and I offered them an opportunity to partner with me to work with the government. And so they kind of gave me a springboard for another year. So don't burn bridges. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your boss at the right time, that is. And just be true and always set your short and long-term goals. That's my piece of advice. And it worked out for me.
Awesome. Anybody else want to take that one or piggyback on that?
We did something similar. So I had in 2002, when we started our business, we bootstrapped it, my partners and I. And basically what we did is that the partner who was a developer and the partner who was in sales, we let them go full-time first. And we closed some deals. And as we closed deals, the other two of us went full-time.
Nice.
And what we did by doing it that way, we never had to borrow money. I think we only had in the 17 years we were together, we did have a line of credit. We only used it once. And that was to pay taxes one year that we had a profitable year and had to pay a bunch of taxes, and we paid them and then we paid the money back. But the point was that you got to have a strategy and then just execute it around how you want to go about doing it.
Gotcha. This is an ad hoc question that I thought of just now. So if I run my own business, how do I make sure that I'm not getting into trouble with the IRS and paying my corporate taxes?
That's where the accounting and bookkeeping comes in. You definitely got to track your income and expenses and be able to report accordingly, because that will get you in trouble if you're not able to fulfill those responsibilities.
And I think Brother Seabrooks mentioned that QuickBooks, when you're just starting out a business, that's a good software to use. I mean, it's very user-friendly as well.
Yeah.
And don't play with payroll taxes. Pay those payroll taxes on time. That's the greatest source of businesses getting in trouble, when they don't pay the payroll taxes. And then so that's, and another thing is look at the form of business, because if you are a LLC, you're going to end up having to pay taxes around that, whether it being a sole proprietorship and a C Corp. So you need to look at the form of corporation, the form of business entity that you have that has the impact on your taxes and how you go about paying them.
And I'll definitely say, make sure you engage an accountant, because as I think we've said, we know what we're good at and we know what we're not good at. Don't be ashamed to bring someone in to handle those things that you can't do well. So if it's bringing in Brother Seabrooks, who has a background in accounting, and he's willing to work for you because he has his own accounting business, then by all means, have him come in, work out some arrangement with him where he can come in as your accountant to assist you with it, because a lot of businesses get in trouble, as Brother Mustafa said, because you try to figure out, I'll do it myself. I can figure out how to do this. I'll pull in QuickBooks. I'll start putting some stuff in, but you're putting things in the wrong categories. You don't have any accounts set up. You're not sure what you're doing. So by the time you get to the tax accountant, they're looking at your books thinking, what is this? Don't try to do things that you know you can't do well. Don't let your pride get you in a position where you end up going out of business, not because you weren't successful, but because you tried to do more than you're capable of.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. I have a question. It came in from the field, and this is a really good question. As Black business owners, what are some challenges that you face that maybe your counterparts of different ethnicities do not face?
So I'll step in with it. When I started, my first mentor was an older white lady that employed my brother. One of the challenges I had is I didn't know any other Black people, Black men or Black women who had businesses. I grew up in DC, so I had no one to really reference. So one of the challenges that we may sometimes have is you really have no one to reference because you didn't grow up in a family where several family members had a business. So you're not sure where to start, how to get going, what do you need to do, the questions about funding and things like that. Whereas in some cases, and it's not in all cases where with folks of other ethnicity, that they have family members that have started a business. If nothing else, most of the businesses or companies with whom they've worked, even if it's at McDonald's, the manager was white, the district manager was white. So you have someone you can at least talk to and have that conversation with. It's nice now to have the Mike Meltons, to have, the Kevin Knights that you can reach out to. And that's why we're having this forum to say, how do I do this? It may not even be in construction, but because he understands business, he can give you an idea of, as he said, here's some 4 things you need to put in place. Do your research and constantly ping them back and forth as much as you can to squeeze out as much knowledge as you can from him so you're not making those mistakes.
Excellent. Does anybody else have any feedback about being a Black African-American entrepreneur?
I mean, I would just say, just to keep it real, access to capital, it's not readily available for us as it is for some others. I think now today it's starting to be opened up, but that was the challenge 15 years ago when I started. And it probably still is today. So that's probably the main thing, because we don't have a lot of legacy money on our side, so that becomes the issue.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a Brookings Institute study around that this brother Andre Perry did. And what he said was that it goes back to not having equity in the home. It's quite often businesses white people start their business with their home equity.
Yeah.
And if you don't have home equity, then you don't have, you start out as disadvantaged before you're bankable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's always an issue with banking. And there's a lot of promises out there today, but I think it's still going to be the same issue because until you take care of the institutional racism that we deal with, it's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, from when I started, I just said, I'm going to bank it myself and create a value, and then, get a premium return on what I'm doing, because I knew that, hey, it don't make any difference, man. You can have some money. It's still hard to get money from the bank.
Yep.
Gotcha. So, hey, I'll let that be the last question. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, all of you brothers, for your great presentations and for facilitating a really thoughtful discussion. I wanted to give the last word to Mr. Johnson, who joined us a little bit later on. Mr. Johnson, would you mind, before you go, also introducing yourself as well?
Good evening. I'm Ivan Johnson, Polmark of Dulles-Leesburg Alumni Chapter. I too have a small business. Didn't get a chance to get my slides together because I was supposed to be at another event, another activity. But yeah, so I definitely want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank our brothers for stepping up to present here. We definitely would like to continue doing this. I'd like to encourage the young men, if you're interested in starting, or young women, or parents for that matter, who are on as well with your kids. If you're interested in starting a business, we'd love an opportunity to talk with you about that idea, to get things going, because what I would like to see come from this is young men and women beginning to start their own businesses and allow us to shepherd you through that process. Because one of the things, as we've said, a lot of us have started out working for someone else, but it's a wonderful thing to work for yourself and know that when you wake up in the morning, the money, the time that you're spending, the extra hours, as Brother Knight says, the extra hours that you spend, even if you're up to 12 in the morning, you're doing that for yourself and the building of your brand and helping to establish a legacy for your family.
All right. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much. To all of our attendees, we really do appreciate you taking the time out to watch this webinar with us and to learn a little bit about entrepreneurship. I did also want to leave you with one last nugget. So all of our content actually is recorded. You see the little red flashing button. If you're looking at my screen right now, what we do is at the end of each recorded webinar, what we do is we compile everything. We put the graphics together. We put everything on our Capital League TV YouTube channel, which is available in public now. If you type in Dulles-Leesburg Capital League TV into YouTube. And if you missed a webinar, that's absolutely fine. what you'll find is our collection of content that we've done previously. In October, we did give me a second while I find my mouse. In October, we did a communications webinar on how to speak through written communications, verbal communications, and also doing video conferencing like we're doing right now. We did a STEM careers webinar. So for those that are interested in having your own business in STEM or working in a corporate environment where science, technology, engineering, and math is integrated into the business model, you'll definitely want to watch that one. And especially now that we have a new administration, we have expected a bunch of laws to be changing in the near future at the federal, state, and local level. We encourage you to watch the Know Your Rights webinar to understand the differences between local, state, and federal policing and law, as well as some fundamental legal terminology that's going to help you out, especially if you get into a police encounter. And then I'll leave you with one more nugget. So book your calendars for February the 28th. We're going to be having our 5th webinar of the digital series of the year. It's going to be the State of the Culture Address, where we're going to have the men of Dulles-Leesburg come and speak to you about where we're at as a community of color, what needs to be on our agenda as a community. And then we're going to hear a bunch of different experiences, just like we had a panel today. We're going to have testimonies from the older generation, from the baby boomer generation, from Gen X, the generation that came right after them, as well as some of the younger brothers. We're going to have different perspectives, so you're not going to want to miss that at all. February 28th, make sure you book your calendars. And with that being said, I will bid everyone a wonderful afternoon. For those that are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you check out our other content. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
Good evening.
All right.